Welcome back. My name is Patrick, and in today's video we're going to take a look at roster possibilities for the Edmonton Oilers for the upcoming 2022-2023 season. Using CapFriendly's roster builder, I've come up with a few different scenarios where the Oilers can be cap compliant. Mike Smith and Oscar Klefbom have been placed on long-term injured reserve, so while they still count towards the cap, the Oilers can be cap compliant otherwise, as long as the rest of the roster is at $82.5 million or below. This first roster features current RFA Ryan McLeod signing a $975K contract and has all the players you would expect to have on the roster from my point of view. This is only a 20-man roster. It has a cap hit of $82,114,333, leaving $385,000 in cap space. This roster leaves zero margin for injury, which is far from ideal. It also leaves the Oilers with no ability to sign any more players and have them on the active roster. This second roster is a 21-man roster, which is what we are most likely to see at this point. It has a cap hit of $82,376,833 and leaves the Oilers with $123,000 in cap space. In this scenario, Warren Fogle has cleared waivers and has been assigned to Bakersfield. You can't bury his entire cap hit, but placing him in Bakersfield gives the Oilers enough room to call up a cheaper player. I brought up Brad Malone in this scenario, and the Oilers could sign another forward to a $750K contract. I just have that player listed as TBA forward. I also gave Ryan McLeod a cheaper contract in this scenario, lowering his cap hit to $850,000. I think the Oilers at the very least have to find a way to go with a 21-man roster, so they at least have some breathing room. The ideal situation is a 23-man roster, but cap-wise, without significant cuts, I just don't see how that could be possible. We know the Oilers want Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway on the opening day roster. Otherwise, their bonuses will count towards their cap hit if the Oilers try to call them up later in the year. Both players could be sent down after the opening day roster is announced. Ken Holland has stated Broberg would have to play his way off the roster, so we can safely say he'll be on. But as you've seen from the first two roster scenarios, having Holloway on the roster after opening day is far less likely. Here's a possible roster with Dylan Holloway included. Warren Fogle and Derek Ryan have both been placed on waivers and assigned to Bakersfield to make the money work. And this scenario also allows for one $750K contract to be signed. This is just one way to make the money work, but it shows you the maneuvering that would be required. Dmitry Samorukov is also a player of note, as he now requires waivers to be sent down. That opens the possibility he could be kept as the seventh defenseman. But Holland has stated earlier in the summer he is willing to run the risk of losing players on waivers. So unless Samorukov is outstanding in camp, I think the Oilers will still send him down. I believe Samorukov will end up being part of a trade at some point if he isn't lost on waivers. I could be wrong, but I just have this feeling he doesn't have a future in Edmonton. To close out, let's look at three scenarios where the Oilers have made a significant trade. In each scenario, the player moved has been traded for a draft pick, clearing their entire cap hit. Scenario 1 features a Yesi Pulley trade. I've traded Yesi Pulley and signed UFA Evan Rodriguez to replace him at a $2 million contract. This move would allow the Oilers to sign another $750K contract, or they could bring up another cheap contract from Bakersfield. You lose Pulley, but get a solid replacement, and you have some options. Scenario 2 features a Warren Fogle trade. I've traded Warren Fogle and called up Dylan Holloway onto the roster. This option also allows you to sign a UFA in the $2 million range, like I did with Evan Rodriguez in the last scenario. You could sign 2 to 3 low-cost players, or bring someone else back up, like Devon Shore or Tyler Benson. Scenario 3 features a Tyson trade. This scenario obviously gives the Oilers a ton of options, as it frees up $4.5 million in cap space. Dylan Holloway can be on the roster. They can go with a 22 or 23-man roster. Sign some cheaper players. There's a lot of positives overall. However, the defense takes a big hit. You are counting on a lot of young, unproven prospects to overperform. Also, I highly doubt the Oilers could unload Barry's entire $4.5 million cap hit without having to take something back. So while this is the most exciting scenario possibility-wise, I'd say it's also the most unlikely to happen. Well, that's my look at some roster possibilities for the Oilers. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel, and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan. Take care, guys. I'll see you soon.